I got to say, I'm a bit partial here. I'm especially happy to introduce Canada Silver Cobalt Works, since they are working in a part of the world that is near and dear to our hearts here at the Northern Miner Group. The Cobalt Silver Camp is one of the most prolific silver and cobalt camps in the entire world. It's credited with being the birthplace of Canadian hard rock mining, and not coincidentally, it's also the birthplace of the Northern Miner, as our news institution was founded there back in 1915. Back then, the Cobalt Camp was so big and that town was so booming that they actually had their own NHL team. Now, it wasn't actually called the NHL back then, but it was a league that became the NHL. A lot of people don't realize that. Northern Miner ended up moving to Toronto about 15 years later, but that's where it all started. So here to tell us about how they are breathing new life into the Cobalt Camp is Canada Silver Cobalt Works CEO Frank Bassa and their president, Matt Halliday. Matt and Frank, welcome to the Global Mining Symposium.
Thank you so much, Anthony. It's a pleasure to be here. I think we have a really exciting story, and I'm really impressed with the introduction to cobalt. It brings a lot of pride to me. I live here in Halliday, and I work in cobalt on a daily basis. So,
you have all the street cred in the world. You know, I had the pleasure of going up to visit maybe a year or two ago. Met with the mayor. It was a nice little convention that was done. It was given a beautiful painting by the mayor and was given such a warm reception. A lot of people there are aware of the Northern Miners' origins there. So just a fantastic, fantastic part of the world. So kudos to you guys for being up there and getting things done. I will turn it over to you, and you can tell our audience all about it, what it is exactly that you are up to in the Cobalt Camp.
Great. Well, I'm going to share my screen now. Thank you again. And I'm going to jump into a bit of our silver story. I think it's a extremely exciting story, and I hope we can do the Cobalt Camp proud. So basically, I think I should lead with we have the highest silver grades in the world. This is what the Cobalt Camp was all about. I think I just kind of add a bit to that history. So the Cobalt Camp was founded in 1904, and when they first started mining here, they were mining at grades of 2,600 ounces per ton. For the first 4 years, if you go to the mining museum, you can see the pictures of the old timers, and they were chopping silver off the walls with fire axes. It was just phenomenal stuff. The grades here are just out of this world. And then after the first 4 years, I think that grade dropped down to about 800 ounce per ton mining for the next decade. So we're talking just a crazy camp. It was a crazy boom, and it's really exciting to be part of this legacy. And I think that we have basically what they were mining in the past. So I'm going to jump right into the story. Here's my disclaimer. This is my corporate presentation. It can be found on our website and downloaded. So we're in the right location, absolutely. The Cobalt Camp has got a rich history with a lot of mining companies here, and a lot of technology was developed here. It is a high-grade, narrow-vein camp, structurally controlled. And our project, which is located in Gauganda, is a top-tier project. It's got amazing grades, and we have a lot of scalability, and we're leveraging a team with a lot of local success. So what have we done in the last year? We put on a resource at our Robinson project, the Robinson Zone. It's the very first in situ resource in the Cobalt Camp that's 43101 compliant. And we have 7.5 million ounces inferred at 250 ounce per ton. So the highest grade resource, I believe, in the entire world for silver. We have a planned drill program of 50,000 meters. We've completed about 2/3 of it, and it's going extremely well, and we're continuing to find the silver that we're looking for. As well as we have a technology called Re2Ox. It's a proprietary technology that is an environmentally friendly hydrometallurgical process that can remove the arsenic from the cobalt and nickel copper in the camp, as well as it's being optimized now to be used for recycling battery technology for the EV market. This is our team. I'd like to mention that, again, we have a lot of local success. Frank Bassa here, our CEO, worked at the mill for Agnico Eagle in Cobalt, and he has an extremely good understanding of the metallurgy of this camp. We have a senior consultant, Doug Robinson, and he has 14 years experience underground. Now, this camp hasn't really seen mining since the 80s. So having these type of people like Doug, who's been underground and has been exploring this camp for 40 years, is an extreme advantage. We utilize this to give knowledge to myself and my team. Same with someone like Gary Grabowski, and we have Diane Tukani Ojibwe, and from the Bear Clan. She's a director of the company, and she keeps all of our First Nations consultations in working order. So this is the Cobalt Camp here. It is a very large camp. This is the Cobalt Embayment. It's a Huronian sediment basin, and it's been intruded by a Nipissing diabase, and there's a volcanic Archean basement. The camp is about 200 kilometers across, and this is basically, as was alluded before, it's the hard rock mining birthplace here in Canada. It's the silver cobalt heartland of Canada, and it has produced over 500 million ounces of silver historically. And I think that just hearing that number, I believe on the books, it's about 650 million ounces were produced. And I think that this is only a drop in the bucket. With a camp that's produced that many ounces and has been not nearly explored enough, I'm sure we're going to find another billion ounces of silver here. So my project up in the northwest in Gauganda is along basically the Abitibi Greenstone Belt. We're just south of the Cadillac Larder Fault Zone. We're just east of the Rideout Shear Zone. It's a really great place to have exploration activity. We have a lot of key players in the area and a lot of people to support the industry here. So we're focused mostly on the southern portion of our claim package. We have quite a large claim package, but our focus today is in a space that is in close proximity to 3 past producing mines: the Castle Mine, the Capital Mine, and the O'Brien Mine. And that is where about 70 million of the 80 million ounces of silver was mined in Gauganda. And so we're delighted that our new discovery, the Robinson Zone, is a greenfields discovery, but it's just outside the shadow of a head frame. We're really close to this past producing mines, and we fully have the Castle Mine. It was one of the last producing mines from Agnico Eagle. It was a high-grade silver mine, and I believe it remains an excellent brownfields exploration site. Looking south, this is kind of the size and scale of the footprints of these mines. And you can see we have a lot of ground in between the Castle and the Robinson. We got about 2 kilometers of open ground. And this ground is highly prospective ground. The Nipissing diabase is where most of the silver in Gauganda is hosted. It's not strata bound. It doesn't have to be hosted in the Nipissing diabase. These are structurally controlled deposits. But that is the key place to be looking for silver mineralization in Gauganda. So at our Robinson Zone, Doug Robinson, who the zone is named after, he piloted the discovery hole where they found 70,000 grams per ton silver. This was a spectacular discovery, and I'm very excited to share about what we've been doing with this discovery. So we had to go back and fully understand this hit. So the original hole didn't have any orientation tools on the drilling. And we went down with a 360 gyroscopic camera, and took the video feed, found out the orientation in 3 dimensions of this vein, modeled it up, and through the efforts of all the people working with us, created a small drill program, about 3,000 meters. And that drill program was designed to put on a maiden resource. And so we've done that with this maiden resource. And that resource is what brings us to today, and shows a lot of credibility to the market that we know the drilling, we know the geology, we know the structure, we can put a resource in the Cobalt Camp. And so we did that, and this is what the outcome was of that 3,000 meter program. Here's some images of the wedges. We did wedge drilling to get close spacing on this panel. On the top, you can see 50,000 grams per ton. On the bottom, you can see 70,000 grams per ton over 0.3 meters with silver leaf going into the wall. This is classic cobalt mineralization. This is what they mined in the old days. So they mined anywhere between 1 inch and 12 inches, with the average mining width being 3 to 4 inches. And that's what we have. And I'm so excited to see it. It's just brilliant plugs of silver, cobalt, and gray arsenide. And so it's just exactly what I'm looking for. So this is the resource. I'm not going to mention much about it other than the fact that it is extremely silver heavy. We don't really need a lot of equivalencies to really show that we have this extremely high grade silver. We do have some cobalt zonation, and as we continue to grow this is just the springboard. We are going to have a lot more coming into it into the future. I plan on having a resource update for Q3. So as I mentioned, we had a drill program. What's going on? We've been drilling for structure. That's the old saying here, you drill for structure, mine for grade. So we've been drilling for structure. We found about 8-9 veins now. We're really excited that we keep hitting new veins. Some of these discovered on this slide is 3,452 grams per ton. In hole 28, 75 meters above the Robinson zone. We found some cobalt veins with gold in it. We found a lot of other silver veins that have this type of grade. So we're really happy to use these as geochemical tracers to keep finding these new high-grade panels. In the December of this year, we had a hole called CS 2039, and we struck again. So this one hit 89,853 grams per ton silver, or if you want that in ounces, 2,600 ounce per ton over 0.3 meters. And again, this is the same classic cobalt mineralization that they were mining in the old days. This one is even more beautiful. Just distinctive dendritic silver with little rosettes of silver and cobalt rimming. Definitely a museum piece. Unfortunately, I cut it in half. I sent that off for assay. They ground it up. But there's some pretty interesting things came out of that. We do a screen fire metallic. They do a coarse fraction, and there was 90% silver in the coarse fraction. This silver is liberating beautifully. I'm sure Frank is extremely happy, him being a metallurgist. I'm very happy to report that it's only 60 meters away and around the same elevation. So, you know, we're right on track. And in between here, we have a zone 17 meters of thinner silver veining. And I think that is going to be proving up to be something that's very important for the next resource update. So we implemented the same strategy, and we've wedged this off, and we continue drilling this new zone. We call it Big Silver. Big Silver is being drilled off from the surface and from wedging, and we've hit it again and again. Again, we have another 150,000 grams per ton here in wedge 2. Wedge 4, we don't have the assays back for it yet, but I'm going to guess it's a little bit thinner, but it looks like it's got a little bit better grade. So I'm going to guess it's going to hit that same 50,000 gram per ton mark. And you know, it just keeps getting better in this Galganda camp. We've hit Archean gold, shallow, 50 meters, and it's just south of where we've been drilling the Robinson. I'm extremely excited about this. I want to put a ramp down to access this silver, and I'm working very hard towards that goal. And if we can get the ramp south of the Robinson, maybe we can intersect a zone of gold and start paying that ramp back early. More importantly is that in the same hole, we hit gold in a cobalt vein right in the Robinson zone. So we had 3.82 grams per ton over just under 3 meters in a cobalt vein, and that just adds to the desirability of wanting to mine cobalt. You know, cobalt is worth a significant amount of money, but having that extra pay just means that it's just that more desirable. So here's my concept of a ramp. We want to go down. If you look at this screen, you can see a purple vertical vein, and that purple vertical vein is the main vein in the Robinson. And we have the dye base modeled here, and the ramp is going down into the dye base, and we want to recover the silver under an exploration permit, advanced exploration. But what the real goal here is to use this as an exploration tool. We get underground, and we use long hole drilling, fanning it out, and we really just blast open this deposit. It's cheaper, it's faster, it's quicker. We have all the visual cues. And I think that is the way to accelerate this program into the future. This is the same design on plan. It moves to the west towards our gold zone. We are planning to continue drilling to the west, and I think that we're going to have some more success to the west as well. I think the west is a great place for us to go, and so we can exploit that ramp in that direction as well. So what's next? We're going to continue to drill our 50,000 meters. I'd like to add another 10,000. I'm working hard at continuing the permitting at the Robinson zone and get ourselves ready for this ramp. And I'm looking forward to finishing the program, delivering a mid-program resource update and an update after the end of the program, and continuing with the other projects that we have. I'd like to lastly mention that, you know, we are proactive when it comes to trying to materialize this project, and we have purchased a facility called Polymet. We've rebranded it to Temiskaming Testing Laboratories. It was the original name. This facility has poured 3 silver bars for us as proof of concept from Castle waste material, but it has also poured 1.2 million ounces a year for Teck, 1.6 million ounces a year for Agnico when they operated. And so we can quickly get to the point where we can high grade the Castle material and pour silver bars right here in Cobalt. And that's my presentation. Questions?
Excellent stuff, Matt. Oh, sorry, I just lost my headphone. Just give me a second to reconnect there. And there we go. I am back. Listen, lots to dive into here. We are a little bit up against the clock, but I love the aggressive drill program there. So you said 50,000 meters to go, and you'd like to add another 10. And then, of course, you know, with an eye towards the metallurgy, and having a metallurgist like Frank Bassa as part of the C-suite there really bodes well. You know, my question is, when you come to these kind of legendary historic camps, and it's not an overstatement to say that the Cobalt Camp really in some ways defined modern mining in Canada. You know, a lot of times investors think, well, what's really left there? And you're getting incredible grade. You're finding unbelievable stuff at this stage. How is it that this wasn't already mined in the past? Why was it missed?
Well, you know, I think the main thing is technology. So this was a visual mining camp. That's how they mined this camp. The first discoveries were discovered on surface. So, you know, my project, it's a bit deeper. And, you know, realistically, the model of the companies that were operating between the 60s and the 80s, they were operating on a brownfield scavenging type model, which was a great model. It worked for them. But, you know, that time period is the time period where the technology in drilling actually was improving enough to do better exploration. And I don't think that it was being fully utilized. So, you know, with today's perspective, we really have to just synthesize the old and the new. We have better drilling technology. We have better geophysics. We have better geochemistry. So, and we just have to expand our minds to go a bit deeper or think out the box and find a different place to search. This is a big camp. I think that there's plenty of places to search, and you know, I think we know what we're doing.
Good stuff. We have one here from investor in the audience, Nigel Reed. What is the timeline for pouring silver?
Well, that's a complicated question. You know, I think that the timeline for a ramp, I mean, I'm really trying to accelerate this ramp. You know, I'm looking at finishing all the baseline work for 2022. We need to do engineering. We need to get that ramp down. So, you know, maybe we'll be down there at the end of 2022, or maybe the beginning of 23. That's a pretty good look on that. But we do have some tailings projects that I've been evaluating, and you know, that might be able to accelerate the timeline a bit on that. But even the tailings project has its own due diligence. So, but you know, I am hoping that if we keep our heads down and work hard, we could be hitting something in 23.
Good stuff. And I did mention, unfortunately, we are up against the clock, but I want to get one more in because I love how engaged our audience is. Keep the questions coming. We will, and like I did mention, when we don't have enough time to get to all the questions, we will make sure that our executives get the questions and they'll be able to respond to you via email. This one from Harry Sanders. He says, obviously the veins you hit are high grade, but they do seem narrow. How does this impact the economics / mining method?
Well, I mean, I'm a huge fan of technology. I think with, some of the older technology, jig tables and everything, plus some new technology, ore sorting and stuff, you can really do a lot of upgrading. But, as a resource geologist, I look at some of these intersects and I think, okay, 50,000 grams per ton over, a certain, say over 0.5 meters, right? That's 25,000 over a meter. That's 12,000 over 2 meters. We're talking, when you start multiplying this to like a 50-meter interval, you're still getting these like 500 gram per ton over a 50-meter type of interval. So I think these grades are so phenomenal that they carry themselves. Plus, we do have that silver leaf going into the fractures, into the wall. And so, using the narrow mining techniques that we have today, using new technology, I think it bodes very well. And we still have a lot of guys and women here that came from the Halliday School of Mines, and they understand the mining that happened in cobalt, and they've been thinking for the last 40 years about what they can do to improve.
Excellent. A lot of intellectual capital there to draw on in Halliday and in cobalt. Matt, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. And it's a great story. I'm really going to enjoy following this one. We'll look forward to seeing those drill results coming in.
Thank you very much, Anthony.
Cheers, Matt. Bye-bye. Have a great day.